Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and we've got a fascinating development at the southern border. It's being reported that Patriot Militias are actually entering into Mexico to fight back against drug and human trafficking that skyrocketed under Bumblin' Biden. We're going to see what's going on at the southern border and why it signals nothing less than the rise of a new conservative age. You are not going to want to miss this. They're being called border militias, patriots who've up and left their homes and careers to travel south and patrol the southern border to curb the surge in human trafficking and drugs like fentanyl that are coming across the border in droves as a result of the deliberate abdication of border security responsibilities by the Biden administration. Dozens of groups like Patriots for America and Veterans on Patrol are organizing at the southern border and often working together with Border Patrol law enforcement officers to deter and apprehend those caught violating border laws. In fact, there are so many of them that they're actually finding themselves in a bit of a competition to occupy the best locations among the sites that see the most activity of illegal border crossings. And perhaps because of this competition, it's being reported that these Patriot militia groups are indeed more and more starting to cross over to the other side. They're entering Mexico in order to curb and push back would-be border crossers. Now, astonishingly, this has upset the left-wing media. I mean, I kid you not. They are upset not only with the militias interfering with people crossing illegally into our nation, but I kid you not, they're upset that these border militias are illegally crossing into Mexico. It's one border, but with two fundamentally opposed reactions from liberals depending on which direction you're traveling. It's absolutely astonishing. And I think it demonstrates how logical consistency is hardly a left-wing attribute. But regardless, it is true that Patriot border militias are increasingly cutting the human and drug traffic flow before they even reach the border. And if they do reach the border, chances are they'll encounter even more Patriot militia members. And that's because the presence and influence of militias is so prevalent at the southern border that the ultra-left and highly discredited SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, nevertheless admits that Patriot militias have basically taken over the southern border. And they're doing so in large part in cooperation with federal law enforcement. Now, this is a pattern that we're seeing throughout our nation, a pattern that leftist liberals actually only have themselves to blame for. Both national organizations and smaller statewide militias recruit heavily from current and former law enforcement, as well as military personnel who fought in Afghanistan and Iraq. In fact, thousands of active and retired law enforcement officers have joined militia organizations over the last few years, and many believe this number is currently swelling given how leftist lawmakers were so quick to disavow the police with their defund and disband rhetoric. This is what makes all the complaints from the legacy media that so often champions defund and police rhetoric so utterly ridiculous. You see, during the race riots in the summer of 2020, the Washington Post complained that law enforcement actually welcomed the assistance of Patriot militias in response to BLM protests. Some in the media went further, suggesting that militias and law enforcement were basically indistinguishable. The Guardian ran the rather panicked and hyperbolically sensationalist headline, "White supremacists and militias have infiltrated the police." Think tanks like the Brookings Institute observed that this alliance between Patriot militias and law enforcement is resulting in militias playing an increasingly prominent role in American society and politics, from leading protests and demonstrations around COVID-19 restrictions to providing protection for protesters against the latest woke insanity, and now to patrolling the southern border. Militia presence and participation in civic activities is becoming more and more widespread and more needed. Because something even deeper is going on to bring about this alliance between militias and law enforcement. Something that guarantees that this new alliance is just beginning. But first, let me ask you, how much money do you think you would save in interest payments if you could pay off your mortgage in just 5 to 7 years without any change in your current income? Would that not be amazing? Well, amazing is just a click away. You have got to click on the link below And visit Replace Your Mortgage, featuring the one and only Michael Lush. Michael is showing patriots by the thousands how you can build your own personal parallel economy so you're no longer dependent on woke businesses worrying about your financial future. Check him out. Click on that link below and book a free consultation call with Michael. He's one of us, and he's here to serve you. Click on that link below right now.
He told us he wants to start a journey toward American recovery. Doug, we're with you. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year. You got it.
It's your fault. It is your fault. The tragedy of what's happening at our southern border, where Biden is intentionally abdicating his constitutionally mandated law enforcement responsibilities, isn't just a violation of national sovereignty. I mean, that would be bad enough. It's the fact that most of the fentanyl that's killing tens of thousands of Americans is smuggled over land across the U.S.-Mexico border. That, according to the DEA. Since last year, over 110,000 Americans have died from drug overdose. 70% of those overdose deaths were from fentanyl. This is a totally preventable horror. But don't tell that to the legacy media. They don't care. They're vastly more upset over the presence of Patriot militias and the appearance of xenophobia at our southern border than they are over a single one of those overdose deaths. This utterly deformed virtue signaling guarantees the continued surge in Patriot militias and their ongoing alliance with law enforcement. Conservative America is increasingly recognizing that liberal America is done. It's over. We look at our cities, virtually every city that the Democrats have overrun, and we can see with our own eyes that liberals have fully embraced societal rot and civilizational ruin. That's what the legacy media represents today, and nothing more. Conservative America knows that if we're going to save what's left of our nation, then it's incumbent upon us to do just that. No one is going to come and save us. We know that. And so a parallel society is rising up and walking away from the woke ashes. Patriots in all walks of life are standing up to defend our nation and our way of life, and that, of course, involves defending our borders as well as our law enforcement. Patriot militias are an intrinsic part of that new America, a new conservative America, that embraces law and order as over and against the chaos inherent in woke insanity. Liberals, in the midst of all of their incessant whining and complaining, are falling. We are rising. A new patriot age is truly dawning, and those patriots at the border prove it every single day. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You will definitely want to check out President Trump triumphing in Ohio, humiliating Biden in a 2024 game changer. You are not going to want to miss that. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.